Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe. We got a co-host today. We got a
Back.
co-host back
I'm back.
today. Cantu is back on the show. And, tell everybody how you're feeling, man.
Good, better. My bad. I was feeling out of the weather this past Sunday. I was a no go. Yeah, sorry about that. But we're like Lorenzo said, we're back and apologize for being late this time. We said 1:20, but there was an epic Euros match going on between Spain and Germany, and we were trying to catch the tail end on that. But yeah, good to be back.
Yes, hopefully everybody had a great 4th of July. Obviously, too, the weekend is here. So if you're not celebrated yesterday, you can celebrate on the weekend. Beers on ice, burgers, glizzies. Angel, you did any of that? Any cooking this past yesterday?
Yeah, I was in charge of the burgers and hot dogs this time around. But yeah, everything turned out good. Uh, no one got food poisoning, so that's always a good thing, you know. So, but no,
Especially
like
if you're on the grill. Especially if you're on the grill.
exactly. But no, like everything turned out well. Food was good, vibes were good. Uh, everything was good.
How many glazes do you think you get down in 10
Oh,
minutes, like these guys that
dude,
do with the Nathan's hot dog eating contest?
tell me why I probably get food, but I mean, last time we went to Dollar Dog Day, it was like I was already full with three, so I don't know. I would say maybe 4 or 5 before I throw up. So, what about you?
I think so too. 10 minutes and downing 50 damn dogs. You have to have a talent for that shit.
Well, Joey Chestnut wasn't participating. He usually downs like 70, 60. So
Well, yeah,
that's
because of the vegan or something like that that the hot
yeah.
dog people didn't like, and I think he did a virtual one though,
I
didn't
think
he?
so. I think it was in Texas actually.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
But that's immaculate. How can you just down 50 damn hot dogs down your throat in 10 minutes?
Yeah. I don't know how you do it. Like, how about your 4th of July? Like, what did you end up doing?
No, just hanging around with family and yeah, did some yard work too. I didn't
On Fourth
eat
of
no hot
July,
dogs. Yeah,
that should be a crime.
yeah. I mean, but we're still around family, just doing all I guess getting stuff accomplished. I guess you can say too,
There
and
you go.
the um, the out part of inside instead of inside the house, doing the outside of the house, weed eating cut grass. Because
There you go.
hurricane's about to hit Houston if you didn't see already.
Well,
But
yeah,
it's not gonna be a hurricane. I think. I think it's just gonna be like a tropical storm more than anything.
yeah, something like that. It's supposed to touch the thing in South Texas. So, I mean, we wish all our South Texas fans the best with that. You know, hopefully, evacuate if you need to. You know, get everything you need and stay safe.
Yeah, because I think it's supposed to hit either Sunday or Monday in Houston.
Monday.
So yeah, so
Mhm.
if you're in Houston, make sure you got all the essentials because you don't know if the power's gonna go off and be like the winter storm, being without water and power for 2 weeks. I know I was. So yeah, make sure you get the essentials done. Maybe even cut your grass because like mine, dude, shit, I kid you not, it was about an inch or 2 inches high.
Yeah,
And cutting that much grass, it just sucks in this sun, especially
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But,
Oh yeah, I can attest to that.
but yes, nobody wants to hear about the yard work. They want to hear about the Astros. Episode 193 in the books. Astros have good vibes is the title of this episode. As I guess you could say, this is America's team. The Astros are undefeated when they're playing on 4th of July. I think they're like 5-0 or 6-0.
Well,
On the,
they lost one game in Toronto.
oh, they did. No, but
Yeah.
no, and 4th of July specifically.
Oh yeah, fortunately they are undefeated. Yes,
I think
for
they're like
yeah.
5-0 or 6-0. Chicago White Sox, on the other hand, that's a different story. They've lost every game on 4th of July, which if you're a White Sox fan, it just sucks for you. But the Astros did get that series win 3-1. They did end the season as well, beating the Blue Jays 5-2. Record is 45-42, 2 games behind the Seattle Mariners for first in the American League West, 2.5 games back from that last wild card spot. I think the Astros right now are in a great spot. We've talked about it
Absolutely.
before. I will say it again. I mean, shoot, there were 10 games back from being in first place. They're behind the Texas Rangers. They're behind the Seattle Mariners. Now they're 2 games back just from the Mariners. And honestly, I think it's obtainable to do it before the All-Star break, at least to catch up to the Mariners to tie the first spot in the American League West, or get past them with a little bit more games ahead of them.
Yeah, it'll be tough because the Astros are going against Minnesota, which Minnesota had their number, especially Pablo Lopez had their number last series, right? But the Seattle Mariners are going against the Toronto Blue Jays, who the Astros just saw, and I don't know, the Mariners are struggling to score runs. The- Their pitching, was great early on. Now it's coming back to earth a little bit, so they have to score some runs. So, but yeah, I think that series against the Marlins is going to be big for the Astros because just how brought that they brought that Mariners gap from 8 games to 2 games in like what, a week and a half, 2 week span. I
Mhm.
think Marlins game, like, they handled their business there. They have a chance to even be maybe first place or tie for first place before the All-Star break.
Yeah, the Marlins right now are tied um for the worst record in the National League. They're 3-7 their last 10 games. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now. Um, but this series right now that we're specifically going to be talking about here in a minute against the Minnesota Twins is going to be very critical. And I'm very interested to see what the Astros did because prior to, the first series that they faced the Twins this season, they lost the series. Um, Honestly, this is very, very good for the Astros because they've seen the same starting pitchers, which we'll have that pitching preview here in a minute against the Twins. And the Twins haven't seen the starting pitchers that they're going to see in this series against the Astros. So the bats have been great. We'll have the recap of the Blue Jay series. The Hunter Brown flowers. The guy has to get his flowers some way, somehow. So we're going to talk about him in a minute. Yordan Alvarez, of course. Astros offense look really great in this series. Christian Walker trade. Rumor out there. Obviously from a famous baseball writer, Jon Heyman. He did put out on his New York Post that the Astros have a dream. I think it's one of their dream targets is to get Christian Walker. So we'll have a little bit more on that. Who's invited to the Carne Asada Minnesota pitching preview, train station / injury news, and around the horn. Angel, before we get this thing started, where you need to tell these people to go follow us?
Absolutely. You can find us on X, Threads, Instagram, not Facebook, but all the other three. You can find us if you want to hear us, if you missed an episode, or you just want to hear our wonderful voices again one more time, just in case you forgot what a pitch, like, about something about the pitching preview. Just want to hear the podcast again. You can find that on Spotify podcast and also Apple Podcasts as well. But yeah, if you forget where to follow us, or if you want to tell your friends, you can take a screenshot of the ticker down there as it's moving along, and yeah, you can find us everywhere you go.
Yep, our numbers will continue to boost up in our content from the social media as well as our as well as the podcast platforms. Everything's going up. Subscribers as well from YouTube. Shout out to all of y'all that are listening out there. But let's get that recap against the Blue Jay series and Hunter Brown. We got to start off with him because he did not win American League Pitcher of the Month. We'll break down these numbers here in a minute, but the dude deserves his flowers for a reason. You got to give this guy his flowers, and he did a great job this past month in the month of June. And just continue on to the month of July against the Blue Jays. 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He did get out of a lot of jams, specifically with runners in scoring position. Didn't give up a run either as well. After that start against the Blue Jays, he moves his ERA in the last 5 starts to a 0.29 ERA. He only gave up 1 run in them 5 starts, which is really immaculate for him. But back to the numbers, specifically giving him his flowers because the dude I honestly thought should have won American League Pitcher of the Month. Nothing against Garrett Crochet because he is one of the most dominant pitchers in the American League. But specifically, we're talking about the month of June. Hunter Brown has to be the guy to win that, I guess, accolade. His final numbers in the month of June: Angel 4-0, 116 ERA, 189 opponent batting average. He had 31 innings pitched to 36 strikeouts. Okay. Garrett Crochet, this is what the numbers that Major League Baseball had tweeted out when they had announced the pitchers of the months for both the American League and the National League. So Crochet pitched 37 innings and 2/3. He struck out 56 batters, and he had a 191 ERA. Well, Hunter Brown, like I said, 31 innings pitched, 36 strikeouts. Obviously, he didn't get the numbers right there, but the ERA, 116 ERA, we're talking about the last 5 starts being of 0.29. That's freaking crazy. Like, how is that not number worthy to get American League Pitcher of the Month? And then he's only given up 4 earned runs in this whole month of June. So I'm very shocked. I don't know when you saw the news when MLB announced like the pitchers and the players of the month. Honestly, I was shocked. Even Hunter Brown. I think Hunter Brown took it to Instagram. He put it on his story with that famous, if you've seen The Last Dance with Michael Jordan saying, I took that personally. Well, shit. I mean, 4-0, 116 ERA, 189 opponent batting average, a 0.29 ERA in his last 5 starts. You would think he would win the award over Crochet's, 56 strikeouts at 191 ERA.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. Like, I'm not gonna take too much. Not gonna Crochet again. He is a great pitcher, but I think the comeback that Hunter Brown has able to come by. I was looking at his stats, and at the end of April, Hunter Brown had a 9.78 ERA to bring it back to a 4.07, which is almost kind of like right below the average of for major league players. Pretty phenomenal work, like you said. Like you just gave the numbers. He's been dominant and has been coming in for the Astros. I think one difference that I think MLB should have accounted for is the record. I think if the Astros don't have Hunter Brown pitching this great, they're probably not a contending team. They're probably still, having that huge gap on the Mariners, probably like a 5, 6, 7, and even 8 game back. Whereas the struggling White Sox are still nowhere in contention. I think Hunter Brown pitching great has brought the Astros to a playoff team, a playoff contention due to all the injuries they've suffered this season.
If you are I guess a writer, because we do both write, do you look at this as a personal goal, or it should be team oriented when you're determining who's going to win the pitcher of the month?
I think it should be a little bit of both, right? So, like, kind of going like giving the MVP, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a phenomenal season, yet your team is nowhere in contention, like, are you truly like an MVP, right? Because the most valuable player is going to give you the best out of the best, but they're also going to help the team win. So I think that's where it could be looked upon.
Garrett Crochet gave up 8 earned runs in the month of June. He had a 209 opponent batting average as well. So if you put both their numbers on paper and you crunch their numbers in that month span, honestly, not being biased, I think you got to give it 100 Brown. I think you have to, like you said, record-wise, 4-0. The way the Astros have been performing this season, specifically in the month of June, they were one of the hottest teams in Major League Baseball in June. I honestly think you got to give the award to him. I just don't know what MLB is looking at when it comes to this type of award for a specific player.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm sure most Astros fans agree with you too that like Hunter Brown should have been in top consideration for that award.
Yeah, I don't think it should be just Astro fans. I think baseball fans that have the knowledge of all these statistics and the data and all this stuff, because I mean, it's a new generation now looking at this type of information, that goes a long way. So it is what it is. That's why we're giving the flowers to Hunter Brown, because the dude had a great month of June. Ever since he's developed that sinker, he's just looked like a different pitcher. If you haven't seen Chandler Rome's article on The Athletic talking to players, Ryan Presley, Alex Bregman, put in their input for Hunter Brown to help him out, one of the best articles I've read. I very encourage you to go check it out on The Athletic from Chandler Rome. He has some good stuff. But moving on from the pitcher, let's get to the offensive standpoint. And Yordan Alvarez, my gosh, this guy had a month of June. It just kind of carried on to July as well. I guess the guy just thought it was June 31st, June 32nd, June 33rd, which, I mean, them numbers are not even in this type of planet. But, I mean, to Alvarez, I think it was still to him. 6 for 12, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 4 walks, 2 intentional walks. Angel right here, 0 strikeouts in that series against the Blue Jays, which you have pitchers like Chris Bassett. You have a pitcher like Jose Barrios. Yadier Rodriguez looked really good, too, on the mound for the Blue Jays. My gosh, Alvarez just looked like a different hitter. I think he likes hitting over there at the Rogers Center, too. I think I've heard that on the broadcast, that he hits the most home runs. Like, that's the second most home runs he likes to hit at over there. But the last 15 games, real quick, breaking that down, 365 batting average, 492 opponent batting average. Not batting average, OP, on base percentage, I meant 750 slugging, 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 10 walks, has only struck out 6 times in the last 15 games. Alvarez has taken that role of, you know what, Kyle Tucker's not here, even though when both of them are in the lineup, they're supposed to do damage. When one of them is out, like, for instance, Tucker, when he was playing and Alvarez was struggling through that month of May, I guess you could say, he stepped up in a big way. I think Alvarez has done the same thing. Kyle Tucker landing on the IL, he has really helped this lineup just booster in RBI production and even power, I can say, being in that 3 or 4 spot. And you're on mute.
Not bad about that. Now, yeah, this Astros lineup revolves around two players now, right? Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez. I'd say once Jose Altuve gets on base, Yordan Alvarez has always is a threat to bring him in. I think like if those two guys are hot and going, this lineup just takes advantage, just keeps rolling it down the line, moving the assembly line, however you want to call it, right? But if those two guys are on, I think the Astros win a lot of ball games, and it's shown.
Oh, yeah, it's shown big time. I don't know if you saw that pitch. Barrios, 3-0 count. Schneider just gave the confidence in his pitcher. And Alvarez is like, you know what? You're going to throw me a 3-0 changeup on the outside corner. I'm going to just pull it to right field. I don't know if you saw that at bat. It was
I
just
did not.
crazy. Green light with a 3-0 count, which if you're like a Yordan Alvarez or you're a Jose Altuve, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt of getting that green light from your manager. And he did
Absolutely.
not disappoint Joe Espada. But just in this series, I mean, Alvarez took it the other way, hitting it in the gaps, pulling the baseball, smashing the baseball. I mean, one of the best series is I can say for Yordan Alvarez, because if you remember in that Mets series, he did not hit a home run. In this series, he had 3 home runs. I mean, it was 3 days in a row. And July 4, obviously, that ended for Alvarez. But I mean, my gosh, great start to the month of July for Alvarez. Let's see if he continues that consistency of power to this series against the Minnesota Twins. And then last but not least, we got to give the offense a lot of credit in this game, even though on Tuesday's game, because this could have been a sweepable series for the Astros, they did a great job. Monday's game was kind of a pitcher's duel, 3 runs only, 4 hits for both teams. Alvarez getting the benefit of the doubt in the 9th inning, hitting that home run. Tuesday, 6 runs and 8 hits. The Astros were losing 7-0 in the game. Spencer Arrighetti did not have his stuff. His fastball command wasn't there. And the Astros, some way, somehow, almost had a chance of coming back and beating the Blue Jays and making the Blue Jays lose that deficit of that 7-0 lead. Putting up a 5 spot specifically in that 5th inning. Saturday, 9 runs, 11 hits. Astros put a 4 spot in the 7th. Astros put a 3 spot in the 8th. And then Sunday's contest, 5 runs, 9 hits. Scored early in that 1st inning, but then Toronto quickly had tied it. And then the Astros obviously went to go get them 2 runs in the later part of the ball game. But going back to Tuesday, I mean, when you're losing 7-0, in your mind, if you're an Astros fan, you're like, okay, well, shit, it looks like the Astros are not going to come back. It looks like they're not going to win this ball game. And some way, somehow, it's just like that Mets game. I think it was game 2 or game 1. Well, it was game 2 that they came back and won that game from. I can't remember the score on the top of my head, but
it was the rain delay one, right?
Was it? I think it was game 3 for that rain delay.
Okay.
Or no. It was the rain delay, actually. No. Game 3. That was
Game 3.
Anyway, at the end of the day, they came back and beat the Mets. And they almost did that to the Blue Jays, which the Astros have a really great job doing that this season. I mean, mid part of the game and the ending part, going to like the 4th through the 9th, they're finding some way somehow to put up multiple runs in an inning. And they've been doing a really great job doing that.
I think that's been recent though, because like if you remember early on when they were struggling, it's like once the opponent scored some runs, it was like fans usually thought, "Oh, that's it." Like the Astros lost that game because they struggle to come when they're trailing, right? But now, even if they lost this game against the Blue Jays when they were trailing for so much, it's like you like it's a different feel, right? Like it's a different vibe compared to the beginning of the Astros now. Because even if you're down, I think this offense right now, like I mean, in fans just witnesses, they're never out of the game now. Like if they're trailing 4 runs, a spark may come in any inning. It's like now there's no quit. There's an urgency of this team, whereas that wasn't the case in the beginning. So even though they lost that game, trailing by 7 runs, you still kind of look at it as a bright spot that, hey, this team is resilient now. Like they're showing so much diligence on the field, and any game is winnable at this point.
I was about to say, you said resilient. I thought you were going to go to that relentless motto for the Astros.
God.
Nah, but yeah, like resiliency, like you said. I mean, they're not out of the ball game. And in the beginning of the season, I mean, the record showed 7-19 to start the season off, and then just this part, like you said, recently, and I would say even kind of going back to like the end of May into the month of June, they just look like a different team. They're not out of the ball game, and this is without star-studded players that are making plays. Like I was saying the last episode, they're just continuing to pass the baton. You don't see guys like Jake Myers, Joey Luperfido, John Singleton, which John Singleton, real quick, in his last 7 games, Angel, 8-19, 421 batting average, a home run, 4 RBIs, 4 walks. That's pretty impressive from a guy that wasn't supposed to be getting enough playing time this year, and that wasn't even going to start this year. He's looked really good at first base, and that's what we'll talk about the Christian Walker segment here in a second. But he's been doing a phenomenal job. I mean, all the players that are not Jose Altuve's, not the Alex Bregmans, not the Yordan Alvarez, Yainer Diaz is starting to hit the ball really well. I mean, everybody is making a huge contribution from the bench into the starting role. Even Cesar Salazar, which I thought Joe Espada should have just left him in the ninth inning when he pitched hit, when Trey Cabbage pitched hit for him in the ninth. I thought Joe Espada should have just let Cesar hit in that situation. He's a really good contact hitter. And I think he could have had a really good shot of bringing Pena in from second. But at the end of the day, Astros did win that series 3-1, and they will look to do that against the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good series. Like, I think the Mariners are kind of like looking as like, wait, we need to start winning ball games. I think the Astros have put so much pressure on the Mariners now, and not just on the AL West, but on the AL in general. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who felt the Astros were maybe this is like an off year for them, and but no, like they've shown so many resilient, like so much grit to be able to come back and battle from being what almost like 10 games
Yeah.
below 500 and now being above 500. It's always really great.
Yeah, I mean, Yankees, they've lost 3 games in a row. They just recently lost that series against the Reds. They're 54-35. Baltimore 55-32. Obviously, the Astros did sweep them this season. Cleveland 54-31. Minnesota 49-38. The Astros have a shot of actually, they could actually contend to that first seed, even though we're looking way ahead, even though we're in the half part of the season. They could honestly go into like trying to get the first seed of the American League.
Yeah.
Honestly could. Because if they could get 10 games back from the American League West, then they're like, shit, we can just go and try to get the first seed in the American League, in the whole, what would you call it? Not division. Yeah, I mean, just in the American League in general. That's what I'm trying to say.
Got you.
But shoot, Joe Spotter right now, through all this adversity and all this stuff, he could be a candidate for, if the Astros continue to trend this the right direction, he could be a candidate for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, Manager of the Year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
manager.
I mean, there was so much hype with Joe Espada just because he's been around the organization for so long. He had to really build a relationship with the players, so kind of give him a little leg up, and being able to overcome that start to now as a rookie manager. I mean, yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, definitely. But the Astros did their damage. They did win on 4th of July on America's birthday, and they did defeat the Toronto Blue Jays on Canada Day as well. So I guess you can say the Astros kind of own both countries, North America and the Canadian border. But let's get to that Christian Walker trade situation right now. Per Jon Heyman from the New York Post, the Astros' dream target is thought to be Diamondbacks first baseman Christian Walker, a free agent to be, Angel, a free agent to be. Right now, Christian Walker has a 271 batting average, 22 home runs, 62 RBIs, has an OPS of 871. I honestly like what the Astros are trying to do right there. I do, which the Diamondbacks are currently 43-44, 9.5 games back from the National League West, 2.5 games back from the last wild card spot in the National League as well. And I like where their heads are at, but if you remember when we went to Dana Brown, when the whole situation of the first baseman with Jose Brady being released and DFA'd, he was saying we're not looking for rentals. More than anything, we're looking for players that have control
I was about
years,
to mention that too.
meaning that they have another year under their belt to be on the team for next year. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like there's been a rumor out there for him, he's an example that he will have a year under control with the Astros for next year, guaranteed. So I'll read the Twitter responses here in a minute, but I do want to get your take. Do you honestly think the Snakes, meaning the Diamondbacks, will trade Walker at the trade deadline if their record's at 43 and 44 and they're 2.5 games back from the last wild card spot?
No, I mean, yes, they're a different team from last year, but I don't think they will. I think 2.5 games back from the wild card with half a season yet to go, they're still in contention for the playoffs. Just look what they did last year as a wild card team. They made it all the way to the World Series. Um, so for two reasons, I don't think the Arizona Diamondbacks will trade Christian Walker just because again they're still in contention, and the second reason is like what you said is that they're not Dana Brown, the Astros are not going to give up a lot for a rental. Now, something I have noticed from Dana Brown is if the even if he tells the media is one thing, if the price is right, he's not afraid to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the if the Astros can get Christian Walker for a low end prospect, which again I don't see it happening, but I mean
Mm-hmm.
just if right, then
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that he pulls a trigger on that. But they're not going to be giving up Jacob Melton. They're not going to be giving up Pedro Leon or AJ Blubaugh or Blas or like all those pitchers that or even major league talent for Christian Walker because that's not what the mindset for the Astros. Like especially for a rental, like you said, right? So again, I don't see it likely. I mean, it would be a nice addition for the Astros. I think improving first base, even though John Singleton has played like foot in the road pretty good, right? But I think improving in any way possible, getting a good bat, like is always in the mind of the Astros. Any way they can get better, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see it happening. I think it'd be a nice addition for the Astros, but like you were saying, with the prospect situation, and we continue throwing this in y'all's head that the Astros have one of the worst farm systems in Major League Baseball. I think they're ranked like 29 or 28, even though it does say that on paper and with through Baseball America, MLB Pipeline, all them type of uh sites and journals. Some way somehow the Astros do develop great players and they come up
Yeah,
ready Major League talent. But like you were saying, I just do not see them trading a guy like Jacob Melton, like you were saying, AJ Blueball. I don't see them trading him. Jake Bloss, Bryce Matthews. I do not see them trading him. Maybe the only one I really am interested to see is possibly Pedro Leon. I will say that though. You did say him being off the list. I would say maybe him being a trade piece in a trade situation with Christian Walker. Maybe. And the fact is
for
that
Walker.
because the Astros don't have no mobility to put him in the infield nor the outfield.
Yeah,
But I just don't see it happening because it's a rental. So if you're
yeah,
telling me right now, you see the Astros being more aggressive on a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. trade than a Christian Walker trade.
yeah. I mean, because that gets more years of control, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah, real quick. I'm going to the comments on Twitter because we did ask, is it, would y'all be acquired? Like, would y'all be open to acquiring Christian Walker if the Astros do go him at the trade deadline? A lot of mixed answers here. Fortunate Cookie, I'd rather get pitching, a starter, mid reliever, or another closer. Pitching wins championships. Eyes on Houston. Definitely, he's a real good first baseman who has a glove as well. Definitely a strong move if they're able to get him. Walks, he'd be a lot cheaper than Vlad and has been just as good, if not better. If you can, you should. All depends on what they want for him, of course, but I pursue him over Vladdy for sure. Another one from Paul J. Grossi. Yandy Diaz would be the best for first base if the Rays make him available. Diaz is on base machine, which the Astros greatly need. He has had 400 on base percentage last year and year before. I mean, there's a lot of mixed answers here. Another one, real quick, last one. Aaron, he is definitely the most valuable first baseman that has any chance of being dealt. Just depends on whether Arizona is deciding to call it quits on 2024. And that's going to be another key factor if Arizona does decide to say, you know what, we're not going to make the playoffs. We don't see it happening. Let's just look into the future and just go after, trading our good players away, like a guy like Christian Walker, basically.
Yeah,
Which is crazy because they just signed Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to a new contract, but guys are probably going to be available like a Eugenio Suarez type of guy too. That's going to be on the market. A Jock Peterson. So I don't know. I think it'd be good. because Christian Walker does have a great bat, and like they were saying too, he does have a great glove. It's just the prospects. That's going to be the part. That's going to be the number one part for me, and the number two part is going to be a rental as well. I don't know if the Astros are going to say, you know what, after this year, what you did with the Diamondbacks, and depending if, like, let's say the Astros do acquire him, seeing him in that second half of the season, if they make the playoffs as well, seeing how he plays in the playoffs, maybe the Astros say, you know what, I think you're the guy that's going to be the future at the first base. So we're going to re-sign you to a contract extension. He is not extension, but to a contract. He is 33 years old as well. Um, I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
pretty good one to figure out, but if it was between a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or a Christian Walker, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think is going to be probably the Astros' target. Plus, they can maybe get a starter in a package as well. That's what I was thinking at with the Vladimir Guerrero part. Because if you could get him, maybe you could get a guy like Jose Barrios. Maybe you could get a guy like Chris Bassett, which the Astros are still looking for starters as well.
Yeah. I mean, if one of those trade sounds nice, like you said, it is the Vladimir Guerrero one, but that one's gonna be a little bit more expensive. And then we do have a comment saying how are Verlander prospects doing in the Med system? Why not Drew Gilbert's hurt?
Yeah.
Um,
Ryan Clifford was actually doing good at a time.
was he?
Yeah. I mean, I'm checking it real quick right now. I don't,
Yeah,
because I know
I'm,
they were ranked at the top five, both of them.
I'm checking Drew Gilbert right now. It says his 2024 MLB stats is he has 25 at bats, 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 home run, 1 RBI, batting 240.
Yeah, right. Ryan Clifford, double A right now is batting 213. Has a 507 slugging, 873 OPS, 10 home runs, 27 RBIs. The strikeouts are killers for him though, 47 strikeouts.
Yikes.
So I think the reason why on that trade though is because the Astros are golden era of Astros baseball, and they're in a win now mode, I guess you can say for them. So, I mean, there are the 3 and 4 ranked prospects in the Mets farm system, but I don't know. I think the Astros. It just depends too on the vesting option for Verlander. Again, that 150 innings threshold for him, but overall the guys being Ryan Clifford and Drew Gilbert, I think they're doing decent as a minor leaguer, but we won't know until they get to the big leagues.
Absolutely. Oh, I think it's time for Who's Invited to the Carne Asada, and in honor of Astros being undefeated on July 4th, and in honor of, just being 4th of July, we're going to be having burgers and dogs for the Carne Asada this time. Who's going to be bringing the meat is going to be Yordan Alvarez. Just phenomenal. 5 for 12, 3 home runs, 8 RBI, 6 walks, and then 2 hit by pitches at the end. I again hit 3 consecutive home runs in the first 3 games, and then after that, the Toronto Blue Jays didn't want no piece of Yordan Alvarez. I think he walked 3 times in that last game, that 4th game. But just to add on what Lorenzo was saying about Alvarez at the Rogers Center, he's been phenomenal. It's been great career-wise. In 14 games at the Rogers Center, he's 3 for 26. He has a 326 batting average, 7 home runs, 16 RBIs, and 1,282 on base OPS. So if ever Yordan Alvarez becomes a free agent, the Toronto Blue Jays should be throwing millions of dollars at Yordan Alvarez because he really loves their home ballpark there. Who's going to be bringing the side? Well, one of the sides going to be Jerry Pena. He went 5 for 14 this series with 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and 4 runs. Really looked very electrified this series. And the reason why our name for today's episode is Astros have good vibes, because that's what Jeremy Pena says, that this team feels like they have much better vibes, good vibes so far. And that's always good when you're winning ball games. And that's what winning ball games does to a ball club. It can change the whole season around. It takes 1-2 games to turn it around. Everybody has that good chemistry going on right now, and everything's just clicking for these Astros. Like a bunch of unsung heroes. You got Mauricio Dubin playing great, John Singleton playing great, and it's just everything's clicking right now for the Astros. We'll be bringing some dip. That's gonna be Hunter Brown, because he really did a phenomenal job on the mound. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He brings his ERA to 4.7, like Lorenzo said earlier. And the stat that I mentioned earlier that I had it written down too is that in April, he had a 9.78 ERA. Even the highest ERA he had this season is in the 16s, and I was like after his third start. So
Mhm.
bringing it back to 407 from that, from being so high, it just shows how effective he's been as of late, and he's gonna be a key figure if the Astros want to continue this push to the Mariners and sustain. If they ever do get first place, to sustain it there, Hunter Brown's gonna be the guy who's gonna have to step up. And I know this guy doesn't get too much love, but I think he deserves it. Let's go with
Mhm.
Taylor Scott. First
Ooh,
time
a little
being,
reliever on the Carne. I
yeah,
saw that today.
he's gonna bring in some South American dishes there, just to let
South African dishes.
what did I say? South
You
America? Oh
said
yeah,
South
South Africa.
American. South
My bad, my
African.
bad. Yes, you're right. South African dishes there. But he's been great. He's been
Mm,
one of the guys that Joe Espada has been able to rely upon. Now he's gonna give you 3 outs, or he's gonna know he's gonna hold those runners on. He has a 144 ERA this season. To me, that's an all-star number. I think you could see Taylor Scott as a reliever as an all-star maybe, but in the Blue Jay series, he pitched 1 1/3 of innings, 0 runs, two strikeouts, and then just going back to that New York series, he did pitch in 3 games there, allowed 0 runs. Just again, very efficient off the bullpen. I think. Would you say that like I know Presley is kind of fighting it now. Brian,
mhm.
haters fighting it now. But you think if their struggles would have continued, like, are you looking at Taylor Scott maybe fitting in that eighth hole, like that eighth inning guy, or you like him where he's at?
I think I like him where he's at. He just like if the starters are in a difficult position, like if they have five and like let's say Framber Valdez comes out of the game with 1 out with runners on first and second, I think Joe Espada really feels confident going to a guy like Taylor Scott and Seth Martinez because the way they've been pitching out of jams, helping the starting pitchers get out of jams as well, keeping their numbers clean. I think he's just a great fit right there in that middle relief role because
Absolutely.
the backhand of that bullpen, you got dominant pitchers as dominant relievers, really Ryan Presley, Brian Abreu, and Josh Hader. I think Taylor Scott is perfect where he's at. Him and Seth Martinez have been doing a phenomenal job in that middle relief role for the Astros.
Yeah, two unsung heroes there. Again, after losing Phil Maton, Ryan Stanek, and Hector Neris, you kind of like. I feel like Astros had fans in a pickle of like who's going to be filling up those innings. Well, they have two guys that have been doing a fantastic job. I mean, I feel like they both kind of like look the same in stature, have similar numbers, and
They
just
look the same too. I swear they look the same. When we look at them, I'm like, all right, is that Taylor Scott or is that Seth Martinez? I swear they do
absolutely.
look the same.
But both of them are dudes who just love to pitch, and I mean, like they're showing it there. And then lastly, we're bringing the little chili and cheese for the hot dogs and burgers. Be Jose Altuve, 6 for 15, 3 runs, 2 RBIs. Again, this offense revolves around Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez, and when they're clicking, the whole lineup is clicking as well.
Definitely. Taylor Scott, just remind everybody, he signed a minor league contract with the Astros in the offseason. And look where he's at now with a 144 ERA. He did not have great ERAs with the Dodgers, with the Mariners, and I think there's another team that he had pitched with. He didn't have not no great numbers, but some way, somehow, when these players come to the Astros organization, it's kind of like a snap of a finger and they change. You can testify that to Charlie Morton, you can testify that to Garrett Cole, and multiple pitchers that have been through the Astros organization. But Taylor Scott's been one of the guys. It's one of the greatest stories in this Astros organization this
Yeah,
past season because him and Seth Martinez, like you were saying, Angel, they've been doing a really great job holding it down in that middle relief kind of role.
yeah, it can be very like I think he's like one of the definitions of a journeyman. There, he in 2019 appeared with two teams, the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles. In 2021 was not even in the majors. He was in Japan playing over there. Comes back in 2022 with the Padres. Only appears in 8 games. And in 2023, he was everywhere. He was with the Dodgers. He was with the Boston Red Sox. He was with the Oakland Athletics as well. And then finds a home in Houston. And like you said, really turns it around because this year has been by far the most innings he's pitched in a season,
Mhm.
and the best ERA he's had in a season. Like,
Yeah,
you know what? Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say he needs to bring his South African dishes to the Garden Asada. Period. Bring them on. Bring
Absolutely.
them all of them. Just bring all of them on.
You know, the crazy thing is, so far he's only allowed 24 hits, right? And
Mhm.
that's with 43 innings, 43.2 innings pitched this season.
Mhm.
In 2023, he pitched 17.2 innings, allowed 23 hits. In
That's great.
2019, he pitched 16.1 innings, allowed 31 hits. That just shows how effective he's been this season. Like, it's been phenomenal. Very hit, like, I would say a diamond in the rough for the Astros there.
Yeah, I think you testified that to Dana Brown and his staff going out there and getting the guys like him that are just kind of like, you know what, we're gonna test him out. That's why we're gonna give him a minor league contract, and then contributing in a big way. And probably, I would say him and Seth Martinez have been the unsung heroes in that bullpen, because Josh Hader in the beginning of the season, Ryan Presley, Brian Abreu, they were trying to find their groove. Rafael Montero has some highs and lows too throughout the whole season. Him and Seth Martinez have been those guys really consistent in the first half of this season. They've really done a phenomenal job in that bullpen.
Absolutely.
But like I said, the guy can bring all the South African dishes out here, because I'm down to try them. I don't know what they cook over there in South Africa, but I am down to try them if Taylor Scott continues to pitch the way he pitches. But let's move on to the pitching preview against the Minnesota Twins, as they will be traveling to the land of 100,000 lakes and the Twin Cities themselves. 49-38 record. They 8-2 in their last 10 games, second in the AL Central. So the Astros are going to have a tough hand with these guys. Seeing Carlos Correa again, seeing the pitchers like I was talking about. Well, I'm about to read them right here. Friday, 7:10 start time, which is tonight. Sean Dubin will be on the mound for the Astros, starting from the bullpen, with a Pablo Lopez going for the Twins. He has an 8.6 record with a 4.88 ERA. And Sean Dubin really didn't do bad his last start against the New York Mets. 3 innings and a third, no hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. He did throw 55 pitches, 31 of them being strikes. So I'm interested to see if Joe Spa is going to kind of extend him more, or he's going to look around to the 50, possibly 60 pitches range for him to perform, see where he's at, maybe 4 innings. Just depends maybe on his pitch count, I would say.
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if he reaches 60 pitches, just because he did touch 55.
Mm-hmm.
And he has had like pretty again long layoff from that last start, like said, like the full 5 days. So I wouldn't be surprised if they push him a bit more, but it just depends on how effective he is. If he's like same as effective as he did with the Mets, maybe 2 hits there, but no runs and limits to walks, you could even see him maybe again 60, 65 pitches. But if he's struggling, trying to get batters out, then I think you kind of have a short leash, because they kind of expect the bullpen game going on, and they have a day off on Monday, I believe. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think Joe Spa is just going to try to get Sean Dubin as many outs as possible. But like you're saying, pitches, I wouldn't be surprised if he, I agree with you. 65 pitches maybe being the max for Dubin, because he does have some experience being a starter between the minor leagues and even the Astros from the past seasons. But this will be his second start this season as a starter. But it's going to be good to see.
I guess you can add that to that bingo card. Sean, like if we had Sean Dubin starting to get multiple games for the Astros.
I think that'd be on the card that just be left open, because I wouldn't have thought he'd be starting 2 games. I don't think everybody would thought Sean Dubin or bullpen games in this season would happen for the Astros, but here they are. Pablo Lopez, on the other hand, dude, last start against Seattle, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. His last start against the Astros, just kind of dominated, just like how he did in the ALDS against them last year as well. 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. We remember, Angel, we talked about in that episode when we are talking about the preview against Pablo Lopez, his numbers weren't great. They weren't the best. He's still trying to recuperate being that Cy Young form that he was last season. And we told you, don't be fooled by the numbers, because I think he had a high ERA at that time too. And sure enough, he went out there and dominated the Astros. Fastball command was great against Houston. Chas McCormick specifically being in that lineup, he had 3 strikeouts. Wasn't a great game for him, but his command on his fastball was really great. The changeup was really good. The sweeper as well. So you're going to see a lot of that from Pablo Lopez in this start against Houston. Astros are going to be doing their homework against him. Lopez is going to do the same thing Again, that's scouting report against the Astros as well. But he has pitched back-to-back quality starts, and to testify to what he's been doing this month of June has been really well. 3.1 record, 5 ERA does sound pretty high, but he's only allowed a 220 opponent batting average against hitters. So it is going to be a good start for the Astros to see where they're at against a dominant pitcher like Lopez. Like we said, don't be fooled by the numbers because this guy was once a Cy Young candidate last season, and I think if he continues to pitch the way he's pitching, 3-1 record, 220 opponent batting average, he's going to make a lot of hitters miss with that changeup. They just got to attack on his inconsistency command if he does have any command issues.
Yeah, they call him the doctor for a reason, but sometimes I call him the surgeon because he's very surgical on the mound. Very likes to pinpoint his location. Very, very adamant in hitting those corners, hitting the spots where he needs to be. Very effective, and it's kind of hard. Like I know he had a rough start to the season, but it's kind of hard to maintain that. You're probably up, it's just because of the gamer he is. He's always going the extra mile. I think his routine to get ready for a start, it starts way before the media gets there. Like I remember when we were there, he was already warming up, stretching in the clubhouse before they even let us in. So it starts way beforehand. I'm sure he does his homework. He's a very studious mind. He's always learning, so he's always trying to get that leg up advantage. I think it just plays for his favor there. So I wouldn't be surprised. I know the Astros are going to adjust, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lopez adjusts to their adjustments as well. So very tough matchup there.
Yeah, I'll have a story on him coming out later on Arskina. If you don't know where Arskina is at over there, I'll have something out soon. But fun fact about him too, dude. He wanted to be a nutritionist if it wasn't baseball. Mm-hmm. That's what he wanted to do. He comes from a family of scholars, I would say too. They all are very highly educated. His wife was a school teacher as well. So he like you said, Angel, he's gonna have his A game going. He knows how to prepare his starts. He knows how to keep his body healthy and stuff like that. Tony Yayo, is Dubin the new Belak? That's a great one, honestly. Yeah. I honestly think so. I honestly think so. I want to say because when the Astros needed somebody to go eat some innings up, it was always Brandon Belak being the number called. And right now, even though it's going to be the second start, we haven't seen Sean Dubin a lot this season unless the Astros have a significant lead against another team or if they're losing by a lot of runs. Dubin's been really that guy to be going out there getting eating a lot of innings, and he's really done a good job.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I think he is.
Yeah, so have to see what Sean Dubin does in this start against the Astros. See if the Astros could get to a great start against the Twins this series. But Saturday, 1:10 start time. Hunter Brown, 6.5 record with a 4.07 ERA, like Angel was saying. Joe Ryan, on the other hand, 5.5 record with a 3.21 ERA. And Hunter Brown, I mean, we've already gave you the stats from that Toronto series. We already gave you the stats of the month of June where he's been doing really well. Another fun fact about him, he hasn't gotten to 5 strikeouts or less since May 22nd against the Los Angeles Angels. That's how dominant this guy has been with his strikeout per 9 innings. The way he's been pitching and striking out batters, going with the sinker, with the fastball, with the curve. Yeah, he's been doing it really well this season. Like Angels had said, the dude had a 16 ERA at a time. He was on a stat against the Kansas City Royals. I don't know if you remember that, Angel. It was like he only got 1 out, and he was on a stat that was like really crazy, one of the worst stats in Major League Baseball. And look where he's at now. He's almost at a 3 ERA. He's going to see if he could do that against the Twins, which their lineup is pretty damn good. And it's going to be a really great test to see how he does against a Twins lineup like this. Joe Ryan, on the other hand, last start against the Mariners, 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. The last start against the Astros struggled tremendously. 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts as well. Gave up 4 home runs, 2 coming from the big man, 1 coming from Kyle Tucker. And Angel, can you give me the other one real quick on who he gave up a home run to?
When? Joe Ryan, last time he was here?
Yes, when he pitched against the Houston Astros.
You got any ideas? Mauricio Dubon.
No, you wouldn't have even guessed it. Jose Abreu. That was Jose Abreu's first home run of the season. If you remember, it was an outside pitch. He took it to, did a little bit of Akbo Taco action. But in that start against Houston, his command was a huge issue. Fastball wasn't doing too well. The changeup wasn't breaking. Left a lot of left a lot of pitches right in the middle of the zone, and that's where the Astros did their damage. Alvarez, Tucker. So I'm pretty sure this time he's going to try to be consistent as possible. I did get to see his the previous start before that, but he's been one of the most dominant pitchers in the American League. 3.21 ERA does show. 5.5 record doesn't really show, but the ERA, the WHIP, the opponent bag average, it's shown that he's been one of the most dominant pitchers, I would say, in the American League.
Yeah, and this is an intriguing matchup to me because you're looking at pitchers who are very similar. They both live and die by the fastball. They both like to work that fastball high and inside or high and away, kind of get the hitters kind of off topic with the off speed, like the little spinning off speed. So, and both Brown and Ryan, when they're off, is command issues because they're just trying to like overlocate the fastball or like their off speed pitches. So, I think this matchup has the potential if both games are on, like if both pitchers are on, to be a pitcher's duel, but it could also go south in a hurry when the command is not off. So this would be a very interesting matchup. I think both have been pretty good. I would say whoever makes a mistake first will probably end up losing this game.
Yeah, 100% agree. This is probably the pitching matchup of the series.
Yeah,
because obviously you got the bullpen game against Pablo Lopez, and then Spencer Arrighetti and Simeon Woods Richardson, which two rookies going at it. But the way that Hunter Brown's been pitching these past games, and Joe Ryan being one of the best starters in the American League, I would say, like we were talking about in that Baltimore series when it was Ronel Blanco and Corbin Burns, I could say this could be a pitcher's duel, like you said. Whoever makes the first mistake, it's going to go south in a hurry, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like Joe Ryan has a sneaky fastball because it's not overpowering. You would say it's not like in the high 90s. It sits at 93.9, but that fastball has a run value of 11, which is amazing. And the opponent batting average on that fastball is 194. And again, it lives at a 94 mile per hour fastball. So it's just location, hitting the spots where he needs to be, and kind of sneaking it up on you. I think he mixes it very well with that split finger. So that's what it's going to be looking like.
Split finger is a dirty pitch, but like I had mentioned before, the command was an issue against the Astros in that last game, and the fastballs were just flat. And just flat out flat for him in that game. 4 home runs given by Joe Ryan. But moving on to Sunday, 1:10 start time as well. Spencer Arrighetti's on the mound for the Astros, 4.7 record, 6.13 ERA. He'll be going against Simeon Woods Richardson, Sugarland product, 3.1 record, 3.52 ERA. Arrighetti, the last start against the Blue Jays, 4 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Positive thing about that start for Arrighetti was the velocity. The velocity was up there, tick higher, 97, 98, 99. I want to say even touch one time average, but his spots was very concerning against the Blue Jay hitters. I know George Springer hit a 3-run homer. That was a mislocation on his 4-seamer. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing for him, is getting that command back in place, using the mix of the cutter, the fastball, the curve, all them type of pitches that he's been really doing good, especially against the Colorado Rockies. I think he has to go back to that game plan. But yeah, that's the only adjustment I would say for Arrighetti. Woods Richardson, on the other hand, last start versus the Tigers, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. His last start versus Houston, 4 1/3, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. It was interesting because he was only pitching 66. He only threw 66 pitches. 45 of them were strikes. So I wonder if Rocco Baldelli is going to give him a little longer leash. I didn't get to see his last pitch count in that start against the Detroit Tigers, but he is a rookie, and I would say the same thing with that pitcher's duel. I don't think this is going to be a pitcher's duel, but whoever makes the first mistake, it's going to be a long night for them, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like for both pitchers, this can go south in a hurry, and it's just most like, just do what you got to do. Sometimes you got to let your defense work. Don't rally too much on that strikeout, and just do what you got to do.
Yeah, great series for this Astros team to see where they're at as well from the competition standpoint before they head to the Marlins, before really hitting back home, because this is going to be their last road trip of the first half of the season. They're going to go against Miami and then Texas. So this is probably going to be their best competition before the next 2 series. And I think it's going to be a great challenge for the Astros to see where they're at before the first half ends.
Yeah, absolutely. But last on Sunday, again, when I couldn't be here, Lorenzo did a great job of informing out with the train station. And honestly, they're really wasn't too many updates on this on the injury guide so far from the trade station, but I'll give you what we got. Again, this is all according to China Rome. Joe Spot on Tucker. I'm hopeful in the next couple of days you could see him come out here, and he was talking about potentially running a bit. The speed of the last couple of days, it's actually progressing faster than we had in the last couple of days. This was Tuesday of that Blue Jay series when Joe Espada said this, and then this was a few days ago. Justin Verlander, Justin Verlander and Kyle Tucker would not be back before the All Star game. Although the Astros have been pretty adamant that they are progressing a little faster than initially was diagnosed, but I think them being back in the after the All Star game is not really a big a big hit to the Astros, and that's because they're winning ball games. I feel like if the Astros were again still haven't changed what they did early on, still struggling, still inconsistent, I think then the pressure's on for those guys to return. But the fact that the Astros are in this amazing run, the fact that they're 2 games out of the Seattle Mariners right before the All Star break, I think it gives these guys time to kind of heal and feel 100% before coming back. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Justin Verlander specifically, I would say for him being 40 something years old, uh, the arm's not like how it was like a spring chicken. I think that's going to be the most important key piece for the Astros to get him back. For him to just take his time, not to rush back or anything like that. So understandable for Verlander. Kyle Tucker, on the other hand, I could say the same thing for him. Maybe I don't know if during the MLB All Star break, do the minor leagues have that All Star break too, or they continue to play? I'm not 100% sure.
I think they have a few games off, I believe.
Okay, well, that I think in that time you could see Kyle Tucker maybe progressing into having a rehab assignment with either the Space Cowboys or the Corpus Christi Hooks, because I think he's going to be a pivotal point for this offense and even the defense, you could say too, for the Astros in the second half of the season. Missing his bat, what the Astros have done in the month of June, like I had mentioned the last episode, having the best record in June in Major League Baseball, that is just phenomenal doing it without Kyle Tucker. That's just really great what they did without him. But for the second half of the season, I think the Astros are going to need him just to get them RBI production.
Yeah.
I will say this. Do any of them hit their mark? Obviously, Verlander hitting the 150 innings threshold, as well as Kyle Tucker. Do you see him getting that 30-30?
I think I would say for Kyle Tucker, yes, just because he had a phenomenal early part of the season where, he's already almost at 20 home runs. He hasn't been caught at all stealing a base. So I think he kind of jumps in where he left off there. So I can see it for him. For Justin Verlander, it's a little trickier. I think he has to be very efficient the rest of the way in order to get the innings cap he needs.
Yeah, Tony, real quick. Verlander is a free agent next. I'm guessing next season. Let the market set his value. I would not pay him $35 million. That is his opinion on JV, because he has to hit the 150 innings mark if he's going to get paid that vesting option.
Yeah, it'll be tricky, right? Again, it'll be tricky to get there, but we just gotta wait and see what happens. I think, some positive news is that Luis Garcia is working his way back. I know last week Lorenzo mentioned about a rehab start. Well, Luis Garcia will make his rehab start today, Thursday. I'm sorry, yesterday. Today's Friday. Oh my goodness, he made it yesterday for AA Corpus Christi. That's what Joe Spot told Sports Talk 790. So while you were celebrating on 4th of July, Luis Garcia was doing his rehab start. I don't have the numbers there. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say he gave up 4 runs.
Okay.
He gave up 4 runs, an inning and a third. I know Javier Gonzalez has it. I don't have it specifically on me right now, but I did see something about him giving up 4 runs in an inning and a third. But the strikes were pretty good. And that's what I saw, at least.
Okay, and I would say those 4 runs. It's kind of tricky because right here I'm seeing he only had 3 hits. So on 3 hits he had 4 walks, and a walk. So I'm sure it was a walk, a hit, and maybe 2 hits and maybe a 3 run or double, right? So I can see that. Yeah, but just like we kind of mentioned last year, I'm not very too worried about the minor league numbers, rehab numbers, because at that point you're just working on mechanics, working on your groove, how you feel, and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be too heavy on that.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I think, surprisingly, well, I'm not gonna say surprisingly, but just because we've preached that the Astros don't have a really good minor league system, well, they do have somebody representing the Astros in the futures game, so that's pretty a bright spot for them. Right-handed pitcher AJ Blubaugh will represent the Astros in the All-Star Futures game. He is the Astros' #7 prospect, and so far this season, he's been pretty phenomenal. He started 14 games, has a 6-2 record, 3.46 ERA, 72 strikeouts, and a 1.34 WHIP. I think he has a bright future ahead of him. So far, I mean, AAA numbers, and it's not easy pitching in the PCL this year just because they have so much talent, and being able to do that, in that league, I mean, that's rewarding in itself. Having, representing the Astros, I'm sure they're looking at him a little bit more closely for either a September call up or even next year as well.
Trivia of the day: who
Oh
represented the
man, I
Astros in
hate
the
trivia.
futures game? Well, good thing I can't take you on trivia night. Who represented the Astros last year in the futures game?
Wasn't it Pedro Leon, one of them? I know
It's
he's done
not.
it before.
I'll give you one more
Vla,
guess.
what is it?
Drew Gilbert was the Astros representation in the Seattle futures game last year.
Oh, and then he was traded.
And then he was traded in that trade deadline.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Jacob Melton's not on this list. He ranks, I think he's, I want to say if I saw last time the updated Baseball America top prospects, top 100 prospects, I think he's listed at 69.
Okay,
Which is
yeah,
nice.
he is.
It's nice. It's nice.
Oh, well, they got one. They got one in the top 100.
But yeah, I was shocked I didn't see him on the list. But deserving for AJ.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's had a pretty good season. I think the Astros administration are looking at him a lot more closely. I know, like, his name's popped up when talking about homegrown talent when Dana Brown speaks. Like, whenever the general manager team speaks your name, knows your name, I think that's always a pretty good feat. But moving on to around the horn, the All-Star game starters are kind of set. So Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve will represent the Astros. It was a tight race for Kyle Tucker. I think he was fourth in the candidacy. He was beat out by Juan Soto and Stephen Kwan. The other two, the rest of the AL stands, like catchers Ali Rushmanson, first base Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who the Astros just saw, third base Jose Ramirez, and then shortstop Gunnar Henderson, and then two Yankees and Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. What do you think about that American League starters?
It's pretty stacked. Jeff Passan, when they had the selection show, Jeff Passan put Jose Altuve at the 9th hole. I was like, wow.
Who was leading off?
9?
Oh, Kwan?
No,
Kwan was leading off?
Gunnar was leading off. I think Kwan was either 8 or 7. I think he was 7. I think Ali Rutschman was 8. And he put Jose Altuve at the bottom at the 9. I was like, what? This guy leads, which Jose Altuve does lead the he leads Astros history and franchise history. He leads with 9 All-Star votes. Craig Biggio had 8, but what he's done, having the guy that had the most All-Star appearances out of all these guys, you're gonna have him in the 9th spot.
That's disrespect.
But yeah, real quick with Tony's comment, Kwan deserves it. I don't know if you've seen his numbers.
367 ERA. I mean, batting average.
Batting average, dude. It's insane. It is insane the way he's hitting right now for the Guardians.
I think if Kyle Tucker's not hurt, you see him starting over Kwan. But the fact that Kwan's been so efficient at the plate, and I think he deserves it too. So, all right, you chose Jeff Passan's American League starters lineup. How would you set this lineup up?
That's a good question. I'll go Altuve, Gunnar. Ooh, man, you got Judge too. It's hard. I ain't gonna lie, it's hard. I like Altuve being the leadoff spot because he does hit really well in the leadoff. So I'll go with him being 1. I like Gunnar being in 2. I'll go Judge 3, Yordan 4, Soto 5, Vladdy 6, Jose Ramirez 7. I'll go Ali Rutschman 8, and I'll go Stephen Kwan 9. Steven Kwan
Okay.
has speed and he has the contact. I
Yeah,
think that's why I'll put him 9 over Jose Altuve, just
it's like
because of the contact and the speed.
a little double like leadoff hitter there.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about yours, but I don't know if you want to do the American League or you want to do the National League.
Uh, I mean, you want to do both?
Nah, well, I think we'll just do 1 and 1.
All right, that's fine. That's fine because it's time. But I would put Juan Soto second.
Juan
And
Soto
then,
second. There's nothing wrong with that.
National League starters are at DH Shohei Ohtani, catcher William Contreras, first base Bryce Harper, Ketel Marte at second, Alec Boehm at third, Trey Turner at shortstop, Yelich, Profar, and Fernando Tatis round up the outfield. I guess real quick, because I do see we are over the hour mark. I guess that's why. Okay,
105.
that makes sense. So my lineup would be as give me Ketel Marte leading off, Shohei Ohtani at 2, Tatis at 3, Bryce Harper at 4. Give me Contreras at 5, Yelich at 6, Boehm at 7, Trey Turner at 8, and Profar at 9.
Damn. I'd put Trey Turner at the top. I like him as a leadoff. Nothing against Cattell.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, William Contreras too, in the lower part, in the mid part of the order. Shit.
I mean, it's stacked. It's stacked. No, but I think it'd be a good game.
This, honestly.
Yeah, it'd be a good game.
What do you think Ranger fans are thinking real quick before we go? Marcus Semien I think he had 46%. Altuve had 55.
I mean, I'm not like I know we talk about the Astros, but I'm not being biased. I think the correct man won on that one. I think Jose Altuve is just like having a little bit better season than Marcus Semien.
And that Semien right now too is going through a slump.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I mean, I'm not gonna say there was any snubs on the All-Star game so far. I mean, I think
it's only the start so far.
Yeah, I mean, now when we talk about the reserves, then I think we might talk about a little snub here and there. But I think so far everything's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I'm just saying that just for the fact that the Rangers are hosting it at Globe Life Field and Semien not being a starter. I think that's
the only thing I have against the fan vote is that Yordan Alvarez versus Ryan O'Hearn should not have been that close.
How close was it?
I think before the day, like before the deadline, I think it was Yordan Alvarez 51, Ryan O'Hearn 49.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing as Fernando Tatis Jr. Nothing against him, but Teoscar Hernandez is having a hell of a season.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen his numbers.
I have, yes.
So, beauty of all-star voting for the fans.
Yeah, but have you seen the uniforms and the hats?
Honestly, I do not even go into too much detail again.
You don't like them?
I don't like them, dude. I'm not a fan of them. You?
I mean, they're okay. I mean, I honestly liked it when they would just have a different hat and they would wear their uniforms.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that they need to go back to that classical way of wearing it.
I'm sure it's a money grab though, because they sell jerseys.
Oh, definitely. But I don't know. Looking at these jerseys, man, it really didn't appeal to me. Like it didn't really catch my eye.
They're like very basic though, honestly.
I know what they're trying to go for with the lettering though. It was kind of a Western lettering, kind of, if you've seen it. Mm-hmm. But jersey wise, why we have beige and why is there black? Just don't like it.
But speaking of Alec Boehm and Gunnar Henderson, they will be American Leagues. I mean, stars for their respective divisions, but they will also be participating in the home run derby, which I would say, just like Adley Rutschman last year, Gunnar Henderson is an interesting one that could probably have a pretty great showing there. So, I mean, I'll keep an eye on him. Is there any one guy you would want to see participate?
I think Vladdy needs to participate, man. He has to. He has to defend his crown. So, yeah, I would say him at least.
I know. I would say Judge. Maybe Judge. Participate there. Like I know Yordan Alvarez was asked about his participation in the home run derby, and he said that's not where his mind's at right now. Basically, like just to sum up what he said, I don't have the direct quote, but that's not what he's thinking of right now. That's not where his mind at. So I'll be very surprised if Alvarez participates in this.
I think Bob Nightingale had mentioned that Judge, Soto, and Ohtani were not going to participate in Derby either. So you won't see them players out there.
I mean, that makes sense. They got better thing. I mean, what the thing about
Bigger goals to
the
accomplish.
season? Yes, that's a great way to put it. And then there has been a trade, so that hot stuff's already heating up. Already race trade Adam Silva to the Brewers for prospect shortstop Gregory Bryars. I think that's a great move for the Brewers. I know they did lose Corbin Burns, and just like how the Astros have been preaching, you can never have too much pitching. I think that adds a good arm for that rotation.
Yeah, it's funny too because Savali got traded last year too at the trade deadline.
He did.
So, which like you said, I mean the Brewers do have a stacked farm system. I don't know if you've seen theirs. I think they're like top 5, at least top 10 for sure. But I want to say they're top 5, one of the best farm systems in Major League Baseball. But we'll have our trade deadline specials here in a couple. I guess after the All-Star break, I would say, really, to see where the Astros should go, where the headlines are going, what other teams are looking at other positions as well, because I think starting pitching is going to be one of the hottest things on the market, trying to get the best starting pitchers available. So it's going to be interesting to see with that 2-part special, but an hour and 11 minutes and 17 seconds.
I apologize.
Well, it is a long episode because we did not have the episode last night due to 4th of July. But we are thankful for everybody tuning in. A great crowd on a afternoon, I would say 2:50 p.m. Central Time on Friday, July 5th. But continue to follow us at Full Steam Ahead on Twitter, Instagram, FSA, Full Steam Ahead, TikTok as well, with all our content on the field and off the field from our reels and all that stuff. We highly encourage you to go give us a follow there. YouTube as well. If you're on Twitter, make sure you go onto YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Make sure you get all the videos that we are posting, including our reels, to go with that as well. And then the podcast platforms from Spotify to Apple being the biggest of them all. Give us a comment. Give us some ratings. Let us know how we're doing. We love to hear the feedback. Of course, this is our 3rd year into the podcast world, so we appreciate everybody's time. But Angel, you got anything before we sign off?
No, we're almost to episode 200 too, so that'd be pretty interesting as well. But thank you for listening. Go ahead. You're gonna say something?
No.
Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate all the support and feedback we get, and just keep spreading the word about us. We'll keep an eye to all the writings we do. When I get to know some of the major league players that you might not have some, might not know too much about, right? So we'll be spreading that with our skin too. So thank you.
Yeah, you never know. They might land in the Astros uniform. So get a head start to looking at them. Last comment before we sign off. Tony Alvarez should pull LeBron and never participate in his career. LeBron hasn't participated in a slam dunk contest? Really?
Nope, never has.
I'm shocked.
I remember he said he's more of an in-game dunker, not like slam dunk competition guy.
Boo-hoo. Anyway, not an NBA podcast, baseball podcast. Y'all have a safe and blessed weekend. Enjoy the vibes. Vibes are immaculate right now for the Houston Astros. If y'all haven't celebrated 4th of July, go hit them fireworks today or on the weekend, like I said before. But we'll have that recap of that Minnesota Twin Series and get that last homestand from the Miami Marlins coming into Houston and get you ready for that preview. But until then, y'all stay safe. Have a blessed weekend, and we'll talk to y'all soon.